In 1970, a summer job at a factory paid for a full year of college tuition. Today, that same job doesn't cover one semester. How did college go from affordable to financially crushing? When America was simpler, college was accessible. A motivated student could work 3 months in summer, save every dollar, and pay for tuition, books, and room and board at a state university. Graduate in 4 years with zero debt. Start adult life with a clean slate and a degree. Today, that's impossible. College costs have exploded. A summer job barely covers textbooks. Students borrow tens of thousands. Graduate buried in debt. Spend decades paying it off while trying to build lives. This is how American higher education went from opportunity to burden. It's 1970, May. A young man has just finished his freshman year at Ohio State University, a public state school in Columbus. He's 19 years old. Grew up in a working-class family in Toledo. His father works at the Jeep plant. His mother works part-time at a grocery store. Neither parent attended college, but their son will. He's the first in his family to go to university. They're proud. They helped where they could, let him live at home through high school, fed him, kept a roof over his head, but they can't pay for college, don't have savings for that. He's on his own financially. That's okay. He knew this going in. He has a plan. The plan is simple. Work all summer. Save every dollar. Pay for next year's college expenses in cash. No loans, no debt, just hard work and careful saving. He already has the job lined up. Same job he worked last summer, the summer before college started. A factory job at a parts manufacturing plant outside Toledo. Union job, good wages, overtime available. The job starts the first Monday after he gets home from college. He'll work through August, 3 full months, 40 hours per week guaranteed, overtime most weeks, another 10 to 15 hours when available. The wage, $2.50 per hour, base pay for factory floor work, not skilled labor, just assembly line, repetitive work, hot, loud, tiring, but honest work, and the pay is good for a summer job. He does the math, has it written on a piece of paper in his wallet. 40 hours per week for 12 weeks is 480 hours. At $250 per hour, that's $1,200 base pay. With overtime, say an average of 10 extra hours per week, that's another $300. Total summer earnings, $1,500. His college expenses for next year, tuition at Ohio State is $520 for the full academic year. Room and board in the dormitory is $950 for 2 semesters. Books and fees will be about $150. Total cost for sophomore year, $1,620. He'll earn $1,500 this summer. He has $150 saved from a part-time job during freshman year, worked weekends at a campus cafeteria, minimum wage, saved what he could. Total available, $1,650. Enough to cover the full year with $30 left over. It's tight, but it works. 3 months of factory work pays for a year of college. This is normal in 1970, not exceptional. Thousands of students across America are doing the same calculation. Work summer, pay for college, graduate debt-free. But here's what made this system work, something that's been completely destroyed today. The summer job starts. First day, he reports to the factory at 6 a.m., punches the time clock, gets assigned to a station on the assembly line. The work is exactly what he expected. Repetitive, physical, mind-numbing, installing the same part on the same product over and over 8 hours a day. The factory is hot, no air conditioning, just massive fans that move the humid Ohio summer air around without actually cooling anything. By noon, everyone's shirt is soaked with sweat, but the other workers are decent. Mostly older men, career factory workers, a few other college students working summer jobs. The older workers give advice: pace yourself, take your breaks, don't try to be a hero. You'll just hurt yourself. He works 40 hours the first week, gets his first paycheck Friday. After taxes and union dues, he takes home $92. He deposits it in his savings account at the bank, keeps $5 for the week's expenses, gas for his beat-up car, a few meals. Week 2 is the same. Week 3 brings overtime, 48 hours total. The overtime pay is time and a half. $250 becomes $375 for those extra 8 hours. That week's check is $112 after taxes. He banks it all except $5, lives at home, eats his mother's cooking, spends almost nothing. Every dollar earned goes toward college. The summer is long. The work is brutal. He comes home exhausted every evening, showers, eats dinner, sleeps, gets up at 5:30 the next morning to do it again, but he can see the goal. Every Friday, that paycheck deposits. Every week, the savings account grows. By mid-July, he has $700 saved. By early August, over $1,000. By the end of August, $1,490. Combined with his $150 from the school year, he has $1,640, enough for the full year with $20 buffer. He writes a check to Ohio State for $520, tuition paid in full for sophomore year, writes another check for $950 to the housing office, room and board paid, sets aside $150 for books, done. Sophomore year is paid for, zero debt, zero loans, just 3 months of hard work. He returns to campus in September with money in his pocket, tuition paid, and no financial stress. Can focus on studying, on learning, on getting the degree that will open doors his parents never had access to. But this wasn't just about one student's work ethic. The entire system was structured differently. The system worked because college costs were reasonable relative to wages, not because students worked harder than today's students, not because previous generations were more virtuous, because the numbers actually worked. In 1970, tuition at a public state university averaged $500 to $700 per year. Room and board added another $800 to $1,000. Total annual cost $1,300 to $1,700 for everything. Meanwhile, a decent summer job paid $2 to $3 per hour. 3 months of full-time work, 40 to 50 hours per week, generated $1,200 to $1,800 in earnings. The math worked. 1 summer of work equaled 1 year of college. Simple, accessible, fair. Students from working-class families could attend university, could earn degrees, could improve their economic situations. Higher education was a pathway to the middle class, not a luxury reserved for the wealthy. The state universities were funded properly. State legislatures understood that educating citizens benefited everyone, that an educated workforce strengthened the economy, that public universities served a public good, so states funded their universities adequately. Taxpayers covered most of the operational costs through tax revenue. Students paid a small portion, enough to have skin in the game, but not enough to create financial burden. The federal government helped too. Pell Grants for low-income students, subsidized loans for those who needed them, though most students didn't. Work-study programs. The system was designed to make college accessible. Private universities cost more, $3,000 to $5,000 per year, but even those were manageable. A student could work more hours, work during the school year, take on a small loan, and still graduate with minimal debt. The entire structure reflected a societal value. Education is important, higher education should be accessible, investing in young people's education benefits society. That value system held from the end of World War II through the 1970s. The GI Bill sent millions to college, state universities expanded, community colleges were built, higher education enrollment exploded, creating the most educated generation in American history. Students graduated debt-free or with minimal debt, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 at most. They entered the workforce ready to work, save, buy homes, start families, not spending decades paying off student loans. But if you look at college costs today, you'll see something that would seem absolutely insane to anyone from 1970. Fast forward 56 years, 2026. May. A young woman has just finished her freshman year at Ohio State University, same school, same state. But everything about the financial reality has changed completely. She's 19, first in her family to attend university. Her father works in retail management. Her mother is a dental hygienist. They make decent money. Combined household income around $70,000. Middle class. Comfortable but not wealthy. They can't pay for her college. They have some savings. Managed to put aside $5,000 over the years for her education. That will help. But it won't come close to covering 4 years of expenses. She knew this going in. She has a plan. The plan involves working summers, working part-time during the school year, using her parents' $5,000 and borrowing the rest through student loans. She has a summer job lined up. Retail position at a Target store. She'll work June through August. The job pays $15 per hour. That sounds good. 6 times what the 1970 student made per hour. But the math is very different. She'll work 35 hours per week for 12 weeks. They won't give her 40 hours. That would make her full-time, requiring benefits. So 35 hours is the maximum. That's 420 hours total for the summer. At $15 per hour, gross pay is $6,300. After federal taxes, state taxes, and Social Security, she takes home about $4,800. But she has expenses the 1970 student didn't have. She needs a car to get to work. Insurance costs $120 monthly, gas is another $80 monthly, phone bill is $70 monthly. She needs to eat. Her parents charge her $100 monthly for food at home, a token amount to teach responsibility. Over 3 months, those expenses total $1,110. Her actual summer savings after expenses, $3,690. Her college expenses for sophomore year, tuition and fees at Ohio State are now $12,800 for the academic year. Room and board is $16,000. Books and supplies are roughly $1,200. Total cost for sophomore year, $30,000. She has $3,690 from summer work, has $1,500 from part-time work during freshman year. Her parents are contributing their $5,000 savings. Total available, $10,190. She's short $19,810. That gap gets filled with student loans, federal subsidized loans, federal unsubsidized loans, a private loan from a bank at 7% interest. This is her second year. She borrowed $22,000 for freshman year. We'll borrow another $19,800 for sophomore year. After 2 years, she'll have $41,800 in debt. At this rate, 4 years will leave her with approximately $80,000 in student loan debt. But here's what makes this situation even more crushing than just the debt amount. The summer job is grueling in a different way than the 1970 factory job. The retail work isn't physically harder. It's standing, customer service, stocking shelves. Easier on the body than assembly line work, but it's psychologically draining. Customers are often rude. Management is constantly watching, measuring productivity through apps and cameras. The schedule changes weekly, sometimes morning shifts, sometimes closing. Hard to plan anything. Hard to get a second job because the schedule is unpredictable, and there's no overtime, ever. The company carefully manages hours to keep everyone under 40 per week. No time and a half, no opportunity to work extra and earn more. She brings home about $400 per week after taxes, watches it drain away immediately to car, gas, phone, food, saves what she can, but it's never enough. She does the math constantly, runs the numbers, tries to find a way to make it work without borrowing so much, but there's no path. Even working every hour they'll give her, even living at home and minimizing expenses, even with her parents' help, the gap is too large. The college costs are simply too high relative to what a student can earn. The math doesn't work anymore, not even close. She thinks about the older generations, her grandparents' generation. She's heard the stories, worked their way through college, graduated debt-free. Her grandfather loves to mention how he paid for college with a summer job. She used to think he was exaggerating. Now she knows he wasn't. He could do that because college cost $500 and summer jobs paid enough to cover it. She can't do that because college costs $30,000 and summer jobs pay $5,400, 1/6 of the cost. It's not that she works less hard, she works plenty hard. It's that the system changed. The ratio of college cost to student earning power has been destroyed, and the debt is terrifying. She's 19, already has $22,000 in her name. Will have over $40,000 after this year. Over $80,000 after graduation. That debt will follow her for decades. Minimum monthly payments will be around $800 for 10 to 25 years, depending on repayment plan. That's $800 per month that won't go towards saving for a house or retirement or starting a family. She'll be nearly 40 before the debt is paid off. If she makes every payment on time and never defers or refinances. And the worst part? This debt changes every major life decision she'll make for the next 20 years. The student loan debt isn't just a number. It's a weight that will shape her entire adult life. She won't be able to buy a house in her 20s. Can't save for a down payment while making $800 monthly loan payments. The debt-to-income ratio will make mortgage qualification nearly impossible anyway. She'll likely delay marriage. Potential partners will see her debt load and hesitate. Or she'll meet someone with their own student debt. Combining 2 debt loads makes starting a life together even harder. She'll definitely delay having children. Can't afford childcare plus student loan payments? The financial burden of starting a family while carrying student debt is crushing. Most of her peers are making the same calculation, put off children until the debt is manageable. For many, that means mid to late 30s. Some never have children because by the time debt is under control, biology has made it harder or impossible. Her career choices will be constrained. She can't take a job she's passionate about if it pays less, can't work for a nonprofit or pursue public service, can't start a business, can't take risks. She needs a steady, high-paying job to service the debt. The loan payments dictate her career path. She'll live with roommates well into her 20s, maybe into her 30s. Can't afford to live alone when loan payments take a huge chunk of income. She won't save adequately for retirement. The years when compound interest works best, the 20s and 30s, will be spent paying off student loans instead of building retirement savings. One financial advisor ran the numbers for her. If she could invest that $800 monthly instead of sending it to loan servicers, and if it earned average stock market returns, she'd have over $400,000 by age 50. Instead, she'll have zero from those payments. Just the absence of debt. The student loans are stealing her financial future, stealing the compounding years, stealing the freedom to make life choices based on what she wants rather than what she can afford. And here's the cruelest part. The degree she's going into debt for doesn't guarantee a high-paying job anymore. College graduates in 2026 face a competitive job market. Entry-level positions that require a bachelor's degree pay $35,000 to $45,000 per year in many fields. After taxes, that's $27,000 to $34,000 take-home. $800 monthly in student loan payments is $9,600 yearly. That's 28 to 35% of take-home pay going straight to loan servicers before rent, food, car, insurance, anything. But the explosion in college costs didn't happen by accident. There are specific reasons the system broke. Between 1970 and 2026, several things happened that destroyed college affordability. First, state funding collapsed. State legislatures cut university budgets dramatically. In 1970, states covered about 75% of public university operating costs. By 2026, they cover less than 25%. The burden shifted from taxpayers to students. Why did states cut funding? Tax cuts became politically popular. Anti-tax sentiment grew. Politicians promised lower taxes and cut spending. Universities were an easy target. Cut their funding, make students pay more, and most taxpayers don't complain because they're not in college. The result? Tuition exploded. Universities had to make up the lost state funding somehow. They raised tuition, and raised it, and raised it. Second, administrative costs ballooned. In 1970, universities were lean, few administrators, low overhead. By 2026, administrative staff has grown exponentially. Every university has expanded bureaucracies, compliance officers, diversity coordinators, student life professionals, marketing departments, all well-meaning but all expensive. The student-to-faculty ratio hasn't changed much, but the student-to-administrator ratio has flipped. There are now more administrators than faculty at many universities. All those salaries get funded through tuition. Third, amenities exploded. In 1970, dorms were basic, cafeterias were simple, gyms were modest. Students accepted this. By 2026, universities compete on amenities, luxury dorms with private bathrooms and air conditioning, gourmet dining halls with 15 options, recreation centers that rival professional sports facilities, climbing walls, lazy rivers, spa services. Why? Because universities compete for students like businesses compete for customers, and students choose schools based partly on amenities, so universities build fancier facilities, all funded through tuition and fees. Fourth, federal student loans made it possible. This is the hidden accelerator. When the federal government made student loans widely available, universities could raise prices without losing students. Students could borrow to cover the higher costs. If loans weren't available, universities couldn't charge $30,000 per year. Students simply couldn't pay. But with loans available, universities could raise prices, students could borrow, and the debt burden shifted to young people. The loans were meant to increase access to education. Instead, they enabled massive price increases. Universities captured the loan money through tuition hikes. Fifth, the cultural expectation changed. In 1970, college was one path among several. Trade schools, apprenticeships, military service, direct employment, all were respected. By 2026, college became seen as mandatory for success. Everyone should go to college, the culture insisted. This increased demand. More students competing for limited spots. Economics 101. Increased demand with limited supply raises prices. But the cruelest irony is how this debt trap affects the students who can least afford it. The student debt crisis hits working class and middle class students hardest. The exact students college was supposed to help. Wealthy families don't borrow. They pay cash. Their kids graduate debt-free, start adult life with advantages intact. Poor students from very low-income families qualify for maximum Pell Grants and aid, They still borrow, but slightly less. And if they're poor enough, loan forgiveness programs might eventually help. It's the middle, the working class and middle class, who get crushed. Family income is too high for significant aid, too low to pay cash, so they borrow the full amount. The young woman at Ohio State is exactly this demographic. Family income of $70,000 sounds comfortable, but it's not enough to pay $30,000 yearly for college, and it's too much to qualify for need-based aid beyond minimal federal loans. She's squeezed. Will graduate with massive debt. Will spend her 20s and 30s paying it off. Will delay all the milestones her parents achieved earlier: home ownership, marriage, children. Her grandfather worked a summer factory job and graduated debt-free, built a life, bought a house at 24, married at 25, had kids by 28, retired comfortably. She'll work summer retail and graduate with $80,000 in debt, won't buy a house until her late 30s if she's lucky. Marriage and kids, who knows if those will be financially possible. The degree is the same, the university is the same, the opportunity should be the same, but the financial reality is completely different. And here's what older generations often miss. It's not about work ethic. Today's students work just as hard, often harder. Many work multiple jobs while taking full course loads. They're not lazy, they're not entitled. The system changed, the numbers changed. What was possible in 1970 is impossible in 2026. Not because students are different, because college costs increased 12 times faster than wages. A summer job in 1970 equaled 1 year of college. A summer job in 2026 equals 1/6 of 1 year. That's not a character failing. That's a systemic failure. The young woman working at Target is putting in the same effort her grandfather put in at the factory, but she's getting 1/6 the result. Through no fault of her own. Was 1970 perfect? No. Fewer students attended college, only about 40% of high school graduates. Many who should have gone didn't, especially minorities and women. Financial aid for the very poor was limited. Not everyone had equal access. Does 2026 have advantages? Yes. More students can attend college regardless of background. More support services exist, better facilities, more diverse student bodies, more degree options, but the fundamental promise broke. College was supposed to be the pathway to the middle class. Instead, it became a debt trap. The opportunity is technically available, but financially crushing. We opened college to more students, but made it financially ruinous for most who attend. When America was simpler, a summer factory job paid for a year of college. Students graduated debt-free, started adult life with clean financial slates and real opportunities. Today, summer jobs cover 1/6 of costs. Students graduate with $80,000 in debt, start adult life already financially buried. We gained access, we lost affordability, the trade destroyed the promise. If you paid for college with a summer job, share your story in the comments. What year? What was tuition? What did you earn? Like this video and subscribe to When America Was Simpler. When America was simpler, education was an opportunity, not a death sentence.